Today we are going to add cost items. So go ahead and open up your folder and then put it in the CBS view. For some reason it opens it up all expanded. Kind of whatever, irritating. So go to the data source and select the cost item and then the RS means, and it'll open up the RS means. We don't want national. We'll go ahead and pick United States. We'll pick Texas and Fort Worth. And on the right, those settings, go ahead and make sure the box for include overhead and profit is selected for right now. You have several cost books to choose from, but we are going to be using the building construction one. So we go to Division 8 openings, and we'll look for the door. We're looking for a solid core 3.0 door. Under the description here, they all look very similar. So what I would do is stretch it out and expand the description. There we go. So now we can see a little better. So we picked a 3.0 door. Add. Okay. And it adds it to our project at the bottom as a primary item. If you see, it popped up there on the left, number 5, but we'll get to that in a minute. So let's go back to the door folder, and now we'll pick out the frame. So you data source, cost item, RS means. This time you don't have to reset the county or state, it keeps it. We'll go back to Division 8 openings. Metal frames. And this one, we'll pick that first one. So check the box, add, and what we're going to do here is add a line item for the painting of the doors. I know painting is a Division 9 item, so you'll go to Division 9, painting, and you'll find the appropriate one. Now the reason we're putting it here as opposed to Division 9 is to keep track of these items in separate folders is not easy to do. It gets mixed up. So it's my experience that for this particular item, I'll put the door paint or stain or whatever it is along with the door slab and frame, so that when I get rid of the door, the paint goes with it or the stain goes with it. So you added it, now you have those 2 items, and you say okay, and it saves those 2 items over, again, as a major line item. So what we'll do here is we'll collapse so we can see the folder we're working in and the items that we're adding. So you see there at the bottom, the door, the frame, and the paint. So hold your shift key, select all 3, and then drag them up to where they should go. So now they're under that door folder, door and window frame or hollow frame folder. We have one of each. So now we go to hardware, go to data source, cost item, RS means, and now we're going to put together the hardware. Hardware is division 8. So we'll start with hinges. And we end up picking the 4.5 by 4.5 hinge. Now remember, when you pick hinges, they come in pairs. You've selected it once, so you'll get 2 hinges. A 6/8 door will have 3 hinges. So your quantity of this is going to want to be 1.5. Why that is, I couldn't tell you. That's the way it's been forever. Just got to remember that. So next we'll add the lock. Go in there, we'll end up picking a mortised office keyed lock. In previous programs, I've had the description say US 26 or something like that, so I can identify it. But this one here, we're going to go ahead and pick a mortised keyed office. Once we find that one, we'll check the box and we'll add it. Notice we can add several things that show up in the window at the bottom there before we say OK. The reason we keep the doors and the hardware separate is if you have them together, you'll have one door type for each door. Even though there's multiples, and it's recreating work. It's creating work for yourself. At least if you split it up with doors separate from hardware, all the 3.0 solid core wood doors can be reused without worrying that the hardware is wrong. So you do all the doors that are the same, and then you can come in and put in the right hardware. So we've moved on to the door stop. That one's pretty quick. And then we'll add not the closer, we've already added that. We're going to add in a weather stripping. The reason we're adding weather stripping on interior door is that these doors specify a sound seal. And the closest thing I can find to that in here is a weather strip. So what I do is I pick the weather strip and I modify it. So we've added those items. Go ahead and select them all. Drag them under the hardware folder. Accept it. Okay, now they're all under the hardware folder. And then I double click on the weather stripping. And I know from getting a quote that it's not $61, that it's $401 for the kit, the material. So make sure your number lock is on or off, and then you can type in the numbers and change the number to what it should be. Notice it's job overhead. We don't want job overhead. We want direct costs. So you got to change that. So now that reminds me that you got to go through and make sure the other ones are direct cost. So we'll go through and make sure they're all direct cost. Now, if I were to go in and add the same one of these at the same items through the RS means through that data source it would come in as a job overhead cost, and I'd have to reset it for that one. Now, if I copy one I've already put in here that I've already set as direct cost over to another folder, then I don't have to redo it. So I tend to use things over and over there as often as I can for those kind of issues. All right, so right now we have 1 3.0 door. I actually want 3, so I changed the 3 quantity in the top folder, and the items underneath all changed to 3. Notice that? And we did that on the hardware set. Now remember, the hinges are going to be off right now because it actually should be 3.4, because I didn't set it as 1.3 beforehand, but at least we're aware of it and we can fix it. Now I copied over the line items from the 3.0 door down to the door type B's 2.6 door. So it's not the right door. So what I'm going to do is go back to RS means and find the 2.6 door. This happens a lot, to me at least. I'll forget which item I selected, which 3.0 door it was, because there are multiple 3.0 doors in that library. So what's going to end up happening is I'll come back out and I'll find the line item number for that 3.0 door. That'll help me find the line item back in the library, and the 2.6 door or 3.6 door that's as close to the one I picked is going to be right there next to it. In this particular instance, they don't have a 2.6 door, they'll have a 2.8 door. And we'll end up picking that because it's as close as we can get to the 2.6. See? Go back. Door is, there it is. It's like a 1320. It would be nice to be able to work on 2 screens. For recording, we're limited to the 1 screen. So bear with me. If you don't have 2 screens, you should. It'll move things quicker. There's a 1320, there's a 3.0 door we picked, and we can see a 2.8 door is all we have to choose from. So we'll go ahead and choose that one. Okay. Again, it brings it in at the bottom. We'll drag it up to where it goes. Now we can get rid of the 3.0 door. Right click, delete. Now they're out of order. That's just my preference. So what I'll do is I'll cut and paste it into the same folder, and then I'll put it at the bottom of that list. So then I'll cut and paste the next one and put it at the bottom. So now it's in the correct order. Door, frame, paint or stain. Okay, there it is. What we'll do is change it to say 2.6. Make sure it's direct cost. Okay. Okay, so we'll select all the hardware. Copy it. Paste it for the hardware set Y. and paste it. Now this hardware set Y doesn't have the sound seal, so we'll go ahead and delete that line item. See how now we should have 2 doors, so I select 2, but we had 3 frames earlier, so I multiplied it by 2, and now we have 6 frames and 6 paint, and that's off. So we'll have to correct that. So we go to the first, we'll go to the type A door, and notice that it's 4,000 per unit, and that's not right. So we'll change that to 3 because it's supposed to be 3 doors at that level. And lo and behold, it changes the subline items. So now it went from 3 to 9. So we'll have to go down there and change those to the right number. So we want 3 doors at the top of the door type A folder. And then we want 3 at the door folder and 3 at the hardware set X folder. And then you notice that the unit cost now is somewhere around $1,600. We'll have to come back and fix the type B door, but that is the exercise for today. On the way out, I went ahead and opened up the view to see if everything's under direct cost, and everything is.